This video is just demonstrating the function of the Race Diagnostics Liquid Multi Gauge. This one's fitted to a 2001 B5 Audi RS4. As you can see, the installation in this car is in the centre right air vent. It can be fitted into any of the three centre air vents. It's been wired, or the wiring's been run back down through the centre console, and just plugs into the OBD2 port, which is located in the centre pedestal behind the two front seats in the middle. So let's plug it in and we'll have a look at what it does. Okay, as you can see, the startup screen there. I'll just pan around a wee bit. There we go. So when it's first powered up, it comes up with a code to enter. If it's left plugged in and the ignition is turned off, it will remember the code. You don't have to enter it every time. In this shot I'm just showing the standard installation in the B5 chassis. You can see the plug there is plugged into the OBD2 port behind the centre pedestal behind the two front seats. It's not overly tidy. You can't reinstall the ashtray with the plug installed like that, so that's another aspect of it that perhaps isn't all that tidy. I have read that you can unhook the OBD2 plug and relocate it in the pedestal so that the ashtray can be replaced. If you do need to run full diagnostics on the car, obviously you can unplug the gauge and then plug in your diagnostic tool. So the unit's operated by the single button, which has 4 movements: left, right, up and down, and also a press to execute. So comes up with the main menu. If I click down through, you can see each of the main menus there. If we go into setup, you've got your language, select, screen brightness, just the switch up and down to adjust that. Calibration, all that does is zeros the G meter in there. Units be set up as required. So that's the setup, and just working our way through some of the menus. The gauge data. I've got an engine power, which by default works off the EMS meter, makes a calculation off the EMS meter. I can change the scale on here too from memory. So this is the quick guide. You can see just referring to now. In order to change the gauge to a higher maximum reading, I just click up. So I've moved it up to 500 horsepower. Obviously the car is stationary, but you can see how that needle moves when the engine is revved just slightly, and it's got a peak hold function as well, the red line here showing the maximum recorded, and I believe that's also displayed up in the top right hand corner as well, the peak value. torque. Okay, this reading can be changed to Newton meters by clicking the button down. Newton meters, and you can toggle it backwards and forwards between foot pound and Newton meters. Again, the maximum scale can be adjusted through toggling up on the switch. Same sort of peak hold function there with the red line showing the maximum. This is the current reading, and again the maximum or the peak reading shown in the top right hand corner. Boost gauge. Okay. In this case we've got a millibar readout. That can be changed to PSI by toggling down on the switch. You've got PSI, toggle down, millibars. Like the other readings, it's got a peak reading on the right, and it's got a peak hold function on the line there. I'll just rev the engine there. You can see peak PSI reading there, and it displayed here as well. Oh, sorry, that's millibars. And toggle back to PSI, so the maximum was 5.5 PSI in that case. Command pressure, this is the requested boost, and likewise you can toggle down to select between PSI and millibars, and so I rev the engine. You can see the requested boost moving up and down, and the peak hold function again. Mass airflow. Same functionality as the other gauges. Air fuel ratio. Pretty straightforward. Intake air temperature. By toggling down, I can toggle the units between Fahrenheit and degrees C. Exhaust temperature. .390 degrees C, and there's no ability to toggle the units there. But you can adjust the alarm. There's an alarm trigger temperature which can be adjusted, and you can see in this case the alarm is set for 930 degrees Celsius, and by toggling up and down I can adjust that. If the reading is exceeded, I believe the gauge flashes. This car is fitted with RS6 EGT sensors, which will read from much lower, give readings for much lower temperatures. The stock RS4 EGT sensors will only read from, I believe, about 945 degrees Celsius upwards. So this car has been mapped to run with RS6 EGT sensors. Coolant temperature. Straightforward. You can adjust the units on this one as well. 90 degrees. N75, which is the boost control valve. Oil temperature. temperature. Obviously we have an oil temperature gauge on the car anyway. And that's it for the gauge data. The graph data has pretty much all of the same information, but just displayed differently. So we've got basically a scale, so you've got your time scale in seconds along the bottom, and your power readout on the left on the y-axis. Current BHP and peak BHP, and you can see the gauge displaying there. There'll be some better readings here. I'll just try the other. Well, this is the torque, again very similar type setup. You can see the torque figure running along the bottom there. Obviously I'm not going to get much torque sitting here idling the car. Boost pressure, this one is this is quite a nice gauge if you're interested in what's going on with the boost. What we can do here, you can see the boost line running right along the bottom. Obviously it's on 0. You can add a command boost line to the gauge as well by toggling up. There it is there, you can see the white line. So now when I rev the engine, you'll see a white line indicating the requested boost, and then the red fill-in is the actual being achieved. So you can see the white peaking there, and then the red filling in as the turbo catches up. So this is a very nice gauge to compare what's going on between your actual boost and requested boost. Command pressure works pretty much the same as the other gauge, but it's reversed, so you can overlay an actual boost onto the requested boost with that one. Mass airflow, again you've got airflow on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. So you can see on the scale there, it's up to 15 seconds displayed. The airflow ratio, again, I haven't used this one much myself, but you can see here, obviously moving around around 1. Air intake temperature. Most of these gauges probably on their own are not hugely useful. The boost gauge definitely is, but I'll show you in a minute the multi-gauge setup, which is quite useful. So there's the exhaust temperature reading. You can see the button is not that user friendly. Sometimes have to toggle it more than once to get it to work. Alright, this is interesting. What's happened now, this is another gauge here, an RPM and speed gauge. It's just had a diagnostic fault interference with the radio. This does happen occasionally with this gauge, and it's one of the things that is probably a bit of a downside to it, I suppose, that occasionally you'll get a diagnostic message come up on your radio display, and then that kills the display, the Race Diagnostics Liquid Gauge, and sometimes you'll have to re-enter the security code to reactivate it. In this case it's still working okay. If we go back into it and see if that happens again, it seems to be okay this time. So again, you've got a peak reading here and a maximum speed reached. So that might be quite a useful gauge for track days or that type of thing. In N75 position. Misfire. I have a funny feeling this doesn't work on this car, but I'd have to look it up. There's a misfire count. I'll have to have a. Perhaps you can go and have a look on the website, the Race Diagnostics website. There. Dyno plot. You can look this up. I haven't actually used this yet, but basically what you do is you put the car into gear and into the gear that will allow you to go to the red line within the speed limit, and give it full stick, and it'll give you a dyno plot. I believe it's based on the mass airflow reading, and then derives the bhp and torque from that. If you need to reset the gauge at any time, you just push it in, it'll take you out. Sometimes going back doesn't seem to work. You just push the button and it'll always take you back to the main menu. I think that was pretty much all of the graph data. I'll just double check. There's a timing correction table there as well. So all of this stuff could be quite useful, particularly if you're tuning your car or just fault trouble checking and that sort of thing. Doesn't like backing out of those ones, so I have to reset it. You can go up through the menus as well, and I'm just going down so that you can see progressively what I'm doing here. Yep, so that's everything on the graph data. GeForce data gives you a lateral braking and acceleration peak G readout. I haven't used this much, but here it is. Speed timing, you can time 0 to 60 time, or 0 to 100 time there. Again, I haven't used these functions, but presumably you just give it the beans when you're ready, and it'll show the data. Quite neat, quite fun. Faults. This is a really good function of the gauge, I think. It's like having a mini VAGCOM or VCDS permanently installed in your car. And it's got a couple of functions there. It can check for fault codes, it can reset your codes, it can do a throttle body reset, and the MAF adaptation I think you can put in. I haven't used this function, but you can, if you're running different mass, different airflow sensors for your car, you can put an adaptation figure in there as required. So fault codes, this car, trouble codes, so you can see there no trouble codes are recorded. It's very useful if you do have a problem with your car. It will show it up, and it's very easy to check it daily or weekly or monthly or whatever you want to do, just to keep a tabs on how the car is running. And you can clear the fault codes through the system as well. So that's a really good feature of the gauge. Okay, coming back down through the main menu, the multi gauge. This will be probably one of the gauges that you would be more likely to use on a daily basis, because it shows a multitude of multiple data on the gauge, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the better gauges to use for daily use. So here you've got your air intake. You can see it's getting pretty warm just sitting here idling. Coolant, temperature, N75 valve position, and the actual boost reading. I just, if I rev the engine, you'll see the N75 come up and the boost come up a little bit. There you go. Yeah, not much boost sitting here still, but see how that gauge functions. There is another mode for that gauge as well, and if I toggle down, I should be able to activate it. It comes up with different parameters. I'll just try that now. Okay, and the other one changes the last two parameters to exhaust temperature and oil temperature. And toggling up should return it. Should. Yeah, so sometimes this function is quite slow. I believe the oil reading comes directly from the gauge here, so yeah, sometimes that doesn't toggle that well. So again, maybe another aspect of the gauge that isn't perhaps ideal. But overall, I think this is a really good value for money setup, and yeah, I rate it. I think it's a pretty damn good product.